When you think of British towns, you probably think of something like Oxford or Cambridge. These cities are easier to pronounce. But then there's Alnwick that's just already confused you with the pronunciation. And there are other confusing spellings and pronunciations within UK towns, and some of them are ridiculous like this. And today, we're going to explain what makes UK towns' names have this pronunciation and their names. Most UK towns' name spellings somewhat look easy to pronounce, but when you actually look for these spelling, it doesn't make sense. Take, for example, this town's name. I give you 5 seconds to take a guess how to spell this name. Correct. It's Frome, like the sound of a car or motorbike. Let's take another example, like this town. I will give you 5 seconds again to answer that. Yes, it's called Towcester, same pronunciation as toaster. By looking at this, you realize not all of them have the same pronunciation. By just looking at the spelling, they often contain phonetics traps that are somehow hard to predict. This happens a lot in UK towns. So, what happened? The UK is not technically a one country, but is actually divided into 4 different countries that act as one entity. There are England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. This means that every UK town has a different cultural background and has a very distinct accent or dialect depending on the area in which the town resides. So how come the UK became this way? The Celts, a collection of tribes from Central Europe during the Iron Age, migrated to Britain, bringing distinct cultures, traditions, and Proto-Celtic language. Their linguistic legacy remains in names with suffixes like tre, village, loch, lake, aber, rivermouth, and bryn, hill, seen in places like Aberystwyth and Lochnagar. For example, Frome originates from Proto-Celtic, describing a river's flow as fair or brisk. Next is the Romans. The Romans invaded Britain in 43 AD and established military camps castra, leading to names with suffixes like Cester-Castor and Chester, e.g. Gloucester, and Cirencester. They introduced Latin, which influenced both vocabulary and place names. Next is Anglo-Saxon. After the Roman Empire's decline, Germanic tribes, Angles, Saxons, Jutes, settled in Britain, shaping Old English. Place names ending in ham, homestead, ford, river crossing, and wick, settlement, stem from this era. Silent letters, like the W in Greenwich, are remnants of Anglo-Saxon pronunciation. The Normans brought French and Latin influences in 1066, but mainly added vocabulary rather than altering place names significantly. And the last is the Vikings. Vikings, who raided and settled from 793 AD, contributed Norse names with endings like by, kirk, and thwaite. The peculiar spellings and pronunciations of British town names are deeply rooted in the rich and complex history of the British Isles. The evolution of these names reflects the diverse cultural and linguistic influences from the Celts, Romans, Anglo-Saxons, Normans, and Vikings. Each group left its mark, contributing unique linguistic elements that persist in modern times. From the Proto-Celtic origins of names like Frome to the Latin-derived suffixes like cester and the Norse-inspired endings like by, the names encapsulate centuries of linguistic shifts and historical interactions.